Okay, I'm just gonna help with you guys here. So you see these black whispers, right? They're Sephiroths. So that means we are going into Sephiroth's timeline. I think the white whispers are the ones that are controlled by Aerith's whispers. So as you see here, Cloud's the only one in the OG timeline that's supposed to go through it. Because it's just him. So watch this. Now, the black timeline is Sephiroth's timeline, which now is all this white stuff is just some kind of portal through the same timeline. So they've actually went through Sephiroth's timeline, which is the seemingly the OG timeline. If you notice the black whispers, right? How come there's only a few white whispers remain through? So, in surmising that, I think supposedly the White Whispers are guiding to help Cloud save Aerith from the original death of her thing. So it's not actually when people say that, you know, Cloud is just coping, Cloud is actually mentally broken. It's not completely right. He's actually seeing this thing's quite difficult. Most people can't understand, comprehend like actual multiverse stories. Like you look at Doctor Strange and all that. Simply, we still think it's our version of ourselves. This goes into more complicated stuff, you know, scientific quantum mechanics and all that. But what I'm saying is that what truth is actually that Cloud's not mentally broken, so he saves Aerith for some reason through sheer willpower force, but he manages to block the attack and create a new diverging timeline in which Aerith is saved. Now we don't know what comes next, but they shift. Sephiroth suddenly shifted the timeline back into the main timeline where Aerith dies. Cloud actually momentarily saves Aerith, but in 1 second, Sephiroth is able to somehow either shift the timeline or the timeline course corrected on its own by who knows how. Aerith possibly wasn't strong enough to change Sephiroth's dimensional change, because when people think about it, you know, there's a lot of people who say Sephiroth has actually, after the OG timeline after Adventurin has surfed through the universe, sailing Gaia, this named planet of FF7, which inevitably he becomes like almost like a godlike being, in which he comes back. And you know, in the first remake and says to Cloud, "This is the age of creation." So you know, there's a lot of theories out there that, you know, the age of creation can be originally the Mother Genova or something like that, the original being who might assimilate. We don't know, but clearly FF7 Part 3 remake is remake Part 3 is as completely good news. So they say it's a hybrid. We might see Aerith surviving, not being dead, not being alive, being a ghost, but might be able to come back or go back into her timeline. Or somehow something's going to happen, which is a hybridized thing. Aerith is probably going to be saved, but they're not going to let the OG fans let down. They're probably going to, you know, ignore the hardcore purists, because I think that Aerith should still be saved, but the odds still should be there for her sacrifice to make sense, and then for her sacrifice to not be to be recalled back, and like people believe in Jesus, right? It's not really a sacrifice. He dies for 3 days and then comes back after. And that's fully not what we call a sacrifice. So when Aerith comes back, hey, look, no harm done, right? But the thing is that you have to make a sacrifice, or you have to make not a sacrifice. You have to make something that she basically resurrects, or she basically comes into this timeline of some sort, and you have to basically say, okay, the odds are still humongous, Jupiter-like, but we're not gonna say that, Aerith is just gonna come back willy-nilly and all that. They're gonna figure out some way to make Aerith there for the plot to make sense. That has to make sense. Aerith can't just be, like these days we can't have a Mary Sue and all that. You have to make something out of this. Completely. Yep, that's crazy, man. Who would have think of it? Who would have? Wow, that's fantastic, man. That's completely. So again, you have to use that kind of plot in order to. You have to write the plot, and making sure it's there for a reason. You're not going to just shift into multiple timelines, all this bullshit, and people complain because they still don't yet understand. Why is it like that? Why are there multiple universes? Why are there multiple timelines? It's not Cloud. It's not that Cloud's mind is broken. It's absolutely not the case. If Cloud's mind is really broken, for example, we would see Cloud just hallucinating after the fact that Aerith is constantly there and she wouldn't be talking to him with all these things and all that. And the tear in the sky wouldn't exist. If Cloud was hallucinating all this, there would be no need for multiple timelines, multiple universes. There wouldn't be no need for Sephiroth trying to merge all this timeline and stuff. And think about it. Might as well... they might as well have the OG Cloud. Okay, fine. Look, at the moment, we cannot definitely say that Cloud is hallucinating, because he's not. Because all this bullshit about... Well, not bullshit, but, all this stuff about multiple realities, universes, the multiverse, all these kind of stuff, and Sephiroth, each of them trying to talk about all of it, it just wouldn't exist. Why then, in the first game, do we see all this stuff with Zack, and all this sorts of nonsense, and people say, I can't figure out what's going on? Well, the developers are going to tie it up, and it's going to make sure that we're in the know, okay? At the moment, they did a bit of a weird cliffhanger with Aerith not getting into the ship. Okay, the Aerith stays behind, we don't know why. That means, is she a ghost? Is she, a hallucination Cloud? Or is she going to go somewhere else to stop the meteor or do something else? She doesn't get on the ship at all, for some reason, which also would further either prove that Cloud is not hallucinating, she is literally in another timeline, or Cloud is hallucinating, he's deep within his grief, and she stays behind, and it's but we're gonna see it in the next chapter. We're gonna, or maybe in part 3, or maybe in certain 2 periods of 3 years, development, all these things, because this game took like 3 years to be made. Final Fantasy Remake was in 2018 or 2017, I forgot, 2019 I think, and that was 4 years. So given they might align it with 10-year anniversary of the OG FF7 thing. So anyways, just a little thought here, might clear up some things.